Maybe I just found the answers. Maybe I just found the answers in you. Come give me all your love. I want you to know we can make it together. Let the wind blow. All we need is each other. Come take my hand, you're all that I have now. I won't let you go, 'cause I found all the answers in you. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I can't decide if I like this hair or not. Like, is this too much for a grown woman? I was just gonna do space buns, but they weren't cooperating, so I did this instead. And I don't know if I feel hot or if I feel silly. So hopefully this isn't too bad lighting and camera angle as well. But anyways, I am here to do a Q&A today. I put a video on TikTok and I put a question box on Instagram. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of repeat questions, so I'm just going to like do a speed round and just go through as many as I can. I don't know which one I want to do first. I think I'll do Instagram first because it's less, I guess. So, all these questions on Instagram. How did you and Hunter start talking / dating? One of us added the other on Facebook, and then he messaged me, and then we just kind of started texting, and then that was that. It's not like a crazy story or anything. Are you and the girls happier being around family now? I would say so, yeah. London really enjoys having a lot of kids to play with. She's always begging to go over to my mom's house because that's where all my siblings are. So she likes going over there and having a lot of kids to play with and all of the toys and the attention. She loves it. Plus mom has a lot of outside toys and London loves playing on those as well. Ashlyn is more of like a mommy's girl still, whereas London has become very independent. The past like year and a half-ish, she started to be really independent. So she is like thriving in this. Whereas Ashlyn, it took her more time to adjust to being around people, and she still gets nervous around people sometimes, depending on who it is, how often they're around, her mood, things like that. But for the most part, we're all happier. I mean, there are still struggles here, as there would be anywhere. How are the girls doing with being away from Christopher? Ashlyn doesn't really like know the difference. She doesn't understand anything, and she's always been attached to me anyway, so she's fine. London, it was probably really hard for her like the first week or two, but aside from that, she's fine. She asked to talk to him here and there on FaceTime, and like they'll FaceTime before bed most days, and she does a lot better with it. She just like doesn't always like to hang up, even though she doesn't actually talk to him. Like, she just takes off with the phone and like plays while the phone's on FaceTime, but then if you try to take the phone from her to hang up, she gets mad, and it's like, you're not even talking to him anyways. I love you and Hunter together. How did you guys meet? We met in high school. We had a class together in high school. So we knew each other back then. We kind of talked / dated a little bit in high school. Like my first year of high school, I think, is when I talked to him / dated him. And then I dated this other dude who is actually who I lost my virginity to. And then me and him broke up, and I started talking to Christopher. And then there was a time period where Mary and Christopher broke up. Like, we were together for about a month and we broke up, and I think I talked to Hunter a little bit in that period, but then me and Chris ended up getting back together, obviously. Do you plan on getting married and having more kids in the future? I'm not really huge on marriage. I don't care. I'm not gonna say no, I will never get married, but honestly, if I don't ever get married, like, I won't care that much, if that makes sense. Like, the whole wedding scene just isn't my thing. But I do hope to have more kids at some point. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? hopefully in my own house, a nice little house for me and the kids. And Nike, quit. Nike's down here eating food the kids dropped, and she's driving me insane. But yeah, my biggest goal is to just be in my own house. It doesn't have to be an owned, like even just a nice little rental house is fine by me at this point. And honestly, I don't know, like my ultimate goal would be for my YouTube channel to grow and for me to continue doing that on like a larger scale. But if that doesn't work, then hopefully I can find a nice little like preschool daycare teaching type job or something by the time I finish my degree. Do the girls like Hunter? Ashley loves him. She actually took to him pretty well. Because she was young enough to like not understand being separated from her dad, whereas London was a huge daddy's girl and she's old enough to understand more that like, hey, this isn't my dad and my actual dad isn't around. So it took London longer to come around to Hunter, but overall she does like him. London's just in this very awkward phase right now where literally she will love you 1 second, but if you tell her no, or if you get on to her or anything like that, she hates you for like the rest of the day. She does it to everyone. My grandma, my uncle, Hunter, my mom, my stepdad. Like if anyone gets on to her or tells her no, she's gonna hold a grudge for the rest of the day. So she likes him in general, but if he gets on to her, she's like, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like Hunter. It's really funny. But that's just her being a stubborn toddler. How's your mental health been since you moved? Actually, surprisingly, I think it has improved. I've noticed that specifically my my mom anxiety has gotten a lot better. It's not completely gone, but it is a lot better than it used to be, like with me being able to leave the kids with other people and things like that. Like I've actually kind of been able to get out and do some things without any kids with me, or been able to even just like relax at the house without the kids being up my ass the whole time. So my anxiety has improved. I still do have my moments here and there. I would also say that my depression has improved a bit because I don't have so many like outside factors. Like I'm in a healthier relationship now, and it just seems a lot better. I mean, things are still kind of rough here. There are some things here that bother me, and I definitely do not thrive sharing a house with other people. I thrive best in my own space, in my own home, where I don't have to worry about constantly like communicating with someone or having to be social. Like I'm not a social person, so that is probably the hardest part for me mentally, is not having like real true alone time, because I share a house with people and it's me and 2 kids in one little room with all of our stuff. So for the most part, I've been pretty good. Like even without my antidepressants, like honestly, I've been horrible about remembering to take my antidepressants, but it hasn't even bothered me. Like it's almost like I don't even need them right now. Not to say I shouldn't be taking them, but overall it's improved a lot, yes. Why aren't you ever on TikTok live anymore? I wasn't on live for a while just because I was trying to plan the move and I didn't want anything getting out before I wanted it to be out, before I wanted to announce things. So that's why I kind of started to go less active, and then I moved and everything was super busy trying to settle, trying to move things and get the room ready. I was just super busy in that time period, so I didn't really have the time to. I've tried to pick back up on TikTok live, but honestly my life is still busy. We still haven't settled into any sort of routine or schedule yet. So I just haven't really found a good time for me to go live regularly. I kind of just like, if I'm cooking dinner or getting ready or something like that and I think, maybe I should go live, I'll do it. But I don't really have the time to be doing it every day like I was. Are you planning to still be a stay-at-home mom? I wish I could still continue being a stay-at-home mom. And as long as I'm in school, I would say yes, I plan to continue to be a stay-at-home mom. But once I finish school, I do not know where I'm going to be at in life at that point, if I will still be able to be a stay-at-home mom, depending on like where I'm living, how YouTube goes, how my relationship goes, things like that. Has Christopher tried to get you back since you left him? Kind of, until he realized that that's just not what I wanted, and I guess he finally gave up. Will there be a custody battle? I hope not. I don't want to do that. Last he told me he was trying to sell the house and transfer to a union here and move here so that he could be able to see the girls more often. So like if he did move here and lived nearby, I wouldn't mind us having our own custody agreement. Like he can have weekends or whatever, like depending on his work schedule. But us being 9 hours apart from each other, I just don't feel comfortable with sending the kids to be with him for a week or anything like that, because first of all, his work schedule is so busy, he doesn't have time to have 2 kids by himself. And second of all, I'm just not comfortable with being 9 hours away from my kids at this young of an age. How often does Chris get to see the girls now? Like I just said, he's still in Ohio, I'm in South Carolina. It's about a 9-hour difference, so he can't just regularly see them. He drove down here about a week after I moved and stayed for about a week. So in that time period, he saw them almost daily, I think. But now that he's back in Ohio and I'm still here, he can't physically see them. So they just FaceTime most nights. Did you bring any or all of the pets with you? Okay, so when I originally moved, I was only allowed to take the cats because the cats were mine. He didn't like the cats. I took the cats. So I brought Arlo and Olive with me when I moved. And like I said before, about a week after I came down, he came down to visit and he brought all 3 dogs with him. And he told me that he didn't feel like taking the dogs back with him if he was trying to sell the house and move. He didn't want to have the dogs while he was moving. So he ended up leaving Cleo and Nike with me, but he still took Aura. So Nike is here with me and Cleo is currently staying at my mom's house because she's too big and hyper around my grandma. And she learned to jump the fence. And my grandma lives on a very busy road. And I don't want her to get hit by a car, because that has happened many a times at this house. Were you already with Hunter before you moved to South Carolina? No. Him and I started texting about a week before I left Ohio. So we texted for about a week, and then I came to South Carolina. We started to hang out. He helped me move in, he helped me settle, helped me finish my room. And that's when we started like officially dating. Long-term living situation, any new things coming? Not really. I don't want to be here super long term, but right now this is the only option I have, is here at my grandma's house. My mom did buy that shed and she has talked about like redoing it and turning it into a tiny house for me and the kids. But we would have to honestly buy a second shed because the one that they have is too small to put a full house in. And I tried to compromise and be like, yeah, we can just turn it into like a bedroom playroom or like a living room playroom, and I can use the kitchen and bathroom and stuff in Nana's house. But Mom doesn't want to move the shed here, and she says she wants to do the full full tiny home thing, like bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room. So depending on if that actually happens, like that was supposed to be an option, was turning the shed into a tiny house in my mom's backyard and me and the kids living there. Don't know if that's actually gonna happen, especially not anytime soon. How's your new relationship going? It's going great. It's like a complete 360 from what the situation I was in before. Completely different situation, completely different vibes. Like, it's just going from such a toxic relationship to one that's actually healthy. Any long-term goals? Like I said before, mainly just being in my own house, having my own vehicle. I would love to grow my YouTube channel still. And overall, long term, I just want to be happy. Do you miss the Ohio weather? Not yet, no. I prefer the weather here because it is cool, but not too cold usually. I don't necessarily like the cold. I'm sure I might change my mind when it's like the dead of summer and I'm tired of being hot. But for now, no, I prefer the weather here. Is Chris going to help financially with the girls? If you mean child support, no, he's not gonna pay child support. I'm not gonna like make the court order him to pay child support or anything like that because I just don't want to deal with it. So for the time being, no, he doesn't help financially. Don't know if that will change. Does Chris plan to move to South Carolina to see the girls more often? I kind of touched on it earlier. He at one point was talking about selling the house and moving his job here and living here. However, I don't know if he has changed his mind on that because we don't speak anymore. Do you regret staying with your ex as long as you did? Definitely, yes. Are you dating someone new? Yes. Alright, that's all for Instagram, so I'm gonna go over to TikTok. So yeah, I posted a video asking for questions. There's 56 comments. Don't you feel it's sudden to leave a bad relationship and go to a new one? I see people's point when they say things like that. I do understand what you mean. I definitely told myself like I was going to take it slow. I was going to focus on myself. I wasn't going to jump right into another relationship, but it kind of just happened. Mine and Christopher's relationship ended long before I physically left. So technically I didn't move on that fast, even if it may seem like I did. But I did tell myself that I didn't want to jump into another relationship, but it kind of just happened, and he makes me happy. And I'm trying not to think too much about timelines and things like that and let that like affect my judgment. So I'm just going with what makes me happy, like what my instincts are, what my gut is telling me, things like that. How did you tell him you were finally done? Did you plan this, and how long did it take to pack up and move? I packed probably over the span of a week, and then my mom and stepdad came. We loaded up the U-Haul, which took a couple hours, and then we made the drive, and Hunter and I unloaded the U-Haul and stuff. So in the beginning of December, I told Christopher that I was going to be leaving after Christmas because things still hadn't changed. We were still miserable, and I was just sick of feeling so stuck. Like, I just knew our relationship was never going to improve, and I was never going to be able to move on living there by myself with no family, no friends, nothing. So I told him that I was going to be leaving after Christmas because I wanted to give the girls like one last good Christmas as a family, give them the last chance to celebrate Christmas together like that. And then after Christmas came, I think he kind of just assumed that I had changed my mind because I hadn't talked about it. Just things were still too toxic and unhappy. So, like a week into January, I got into contact with my mom, told her I was ready to do it, and we planned for her to come up one weekend. However, our furnace ended up breaking, and the day that my mom was supposed to come was the day that the furnace company was coming to replace the whole furnace. And I said it would be too hard for us to try and load a U-Haul and move while there's people in there trying to fix the furnace, so we had to postpone to the next weekend. So the people fixed the furnace. I spent the whole week packing, and then that next Saturday we left. What was the moment that you decided you were done and ready to move away? There wasn't necessarily like a moment. It wasn't this big, like, certain situation. Like, there wasn't this, it wasn't like a big event that just was like, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving. It was very gradual. I spent all of December and into January when I actually left sitting there going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to try to decide which option was going to be best, because they both sucked. Both options felt like the worst things ever to me. So I was trying to decide, like, I was sitting there trying to figure out what was the pros and the cons of each one. And eventually I just made up my mind that nothing could be worse than how I felt living in Ohio. And I was right. For years, I stayed because I was so worried that I would hate my life here and it would be so miserable and it would be worse than Ohio and blah, 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 blah. But I was wrong. Nothing could be worse than how I felt living in Ohio. And this is significantly better than I expected it would be. How has it been leaving your ex and getting away from him? It's been very freeing. Obviously, like, not having to hear the things that he said to me on a regular basis, and just not being in that environment anymore, not having to worry about all of the things that he was doing to me, it's been nice. The only issue that I've had since leaving is we live in a small town where everyone knows everyone and people are watching me just to go and tell him everything that I'm doing. So then he texts me yelling at me about what I'm doing instead of minding his own business. So that's the only issue that I've had, is people going and telling him everything that I'm doing and him trying to find, like, any straw that he can to control me. Have the girls met your new boyfriend yet? Yes, they have. And they do like him, yes. Do you ever honestly miss Christopher? No, I do not. He treated me horribly, and I don't miss that. And I'm not saying that I was perfect in that relationship, because I absolutely wasn't. I did wrong too. I was not perfect, but I changed a lot. I actually changed and was continuing to change, whereas he wasn't. He didn't change, and he wasn't going to change. He showed no signs of changing. That was the difference between me and him, was the potential for change.
Mommy, what are these for?
My camera batteries are not very charged, so I'm trying to finish this up. How many years were you and Christopher together before this happened? Not counting the times that we were living together but broken up, like from the time that we got together to the time that I physically moved and left was just over 5.5 years. In a comment on one of Christopher's TikTok videos, he told someone you were moving to get back with an ex. Is that true? No, it's not true. I moved to get me and the kids out of a bad situation into a better one. It had nothing to do with Hunter. Just because I was talking to him and got with him doesn't mean it was because of him. I did it because it was what needed to be done. And Hunter just so happened to be here. It's just a coincidence. He's saying that to make me look bad. Are you and Christopher married? In your earlier Christmas video you said you got married. No, we were never technically married. That was just a stupid thing that I did to try and keep him, and I never should have done it. I did a lot of stupid things just to try and keep that man. And he was a man that didn't want to be kept, so it was all pointless. And I regret doing it, but I can't take it back. So, no, we were never legally married. Where did you meet your new boyfriend? What's your Insta name? As I mentioned before, I met him in high school. And my Instagram is linked below, or it's on the end screen. Okay, so both my camera batteries are dead right now, and I do not have time to wait for them to charge because I am so behind on schedule. So I'm gonna finish on my phone because there's only a couple more questions left. Did Chris cheat on you during your relationship with him, and how did you find out and approach it? can't really talk about how I approached it because I kind of just did nothing. Wasn't much I could do. I just tried to prevent him from doing that, which was very dumb of me because you cannot prevent someone from cheating. If they're gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat. So I know of 3 times that he physically cheated on me. That's that I know of. Once when he moved to Ohio. He moved to Ohio, and then a month later I moved to Ohio, and I found out years and years later, like I literally just found out about this a couple months ago, that during that month he actually did meet up with someone and did something with them. Second time was a few months after I moved, right before / right after I got pregnant with London. He did something with his co-worker's wife, who we were kind of like double dating with, I guess. We were supposed to be friends, but... And then the third one was, there was a chick who friended me on Facebook, and we talked, and she came over to my house a couple times, and we hung out, and she was supposed to be my friend, but I could always see her flirting with him, and he denied that he did it back, but I'm sure that was a lie. And one of the times that we broke up, he like talked to her, but then when he would come back and tell me the month that he physically met up with her and did something, it wasn't a month that we were technically broken up yet. It was before we had broken up, but then he just goes, well, I thought the relationship was over. So that's the 3 times that I know of. And all 3 times I found out because he told me. Most of the time he would get drunk and he would tell me things that he did to try and hurt me or get a reaction out of me. So that's what he would do. He would get drunk and then he would snitch on himself just to rile me up. How were you able to finally get out of that relationship and move? We had been broken up for a few months before I moved. I think we broke up around sometime between August and October. I don't remember exactly. We broke up somewhere around that time last year. I left in January. And it just took, the main obstacle that I had to get over was the mental block that I had with actually leaving and trying to like save things even though there was no saving them. So once I got over that hurdle of like, okay, he's not changing, he's not going to change, things are never going to get better, and you're just stuck here. And you're never going to get better, you're never going to be able to move on. So once I got over that and realized what needed to be done, it was just packing up, calling my mom and saying, we got to figure this out, I'm ready to go. So they rented a little U-Haul and they came and got me. Most of these questions I've kind of already answered. Do you and Hunter plan on moving in together? We've talked about it. So if things continue the way they are, I'm sure we will at some point. I'm just trying not to jump into that big of a step too soon. How much longer do you have until you finish school? I honestly am not sure. Probably about 1.5 years, give or take. How is it co-parenting with him? Do you guys get along? Well, honestly, there's not really much co-parenting going on. He lives in a completely different state. He doesn't see the kids except for on FaceTime. He doesn't help out with the kids financially. So I'm doing all the parenting by myself for now. It's just him texting me, harassing me about what I'm doing with my life now that I've left and him not liking it. How long have you known your new boyfriend? About 8 years. We met my first year of high school, like I said, which was back in 2014. So about 8 years, give or take. How long do you plan to stay with your grandma? I don't have like a set timeline. Hopefully not too long, but I don't know how long it'll take for me to be able to move out and into my own place. So, however long I need, I guess. How were the kids when they found out they were not going to see dad every day? They're just not at the age to be able to communicate that. Especially not Ashlyn. Ashlyn doesn't get any of it. She doesn't communicate anything really. And as long as she has me, she's fine. London, like I said, she was a huge daddy's girl. So she was a little bit more affected by it, but even she doesn't truly understand how to communicate that. Like, I've tried kind of explaining to her, like, yeah, we live in South Carolina, we live here with Nana, Daddy lives in Ohio, and she still calls this Nana's house. She thinks, like, this is Nana's house, we're at Nana's house, which technically it is Nana's house, but it's where we live now. But she doesn't, I don't think she really understands that we live here. But she doesn't really say anything. Like I said, occasionally she asks about her dad, wanting to talk to him because she, like, knows, like, hey, let me FaceTime my dad. But she just doesn't fully understand any of it. And last question, how are you making money? Does your grandma help? I think I read this question earlier, but got cut off. I don't know. I make a little bit of money from YouTube. Not a lot, but a little bit. So I get that check monthly, I mean. However, I got paid a decent amount from YouTube. Like, not a super large amount, but the most I've ever gotten paid from YouTube, I got paid that last month. And it got deposited into my Cash App. And I was trying to transfer it from my Cash App to my Chime account. And I didn't realize that the Cash app would, like, do this, but I went to transfer it, and instead of it asking where I want to transfer it to, it automatically transferred it to Chris's bank account. So he got that whole check and refused to give any of it back to me. So I lost out on all of that money. Aside from that, when I first moved here, I had a little bit of savings, like $250 something, something like that, that I had made from Shipped. So I had that to move over with, that I was using when we needed things like soap, diapers, anything like that. So I was using that money for things like that. But I'm running low on that fund, and I haven't been able to get out and do more orders because I haven't had a steady vehicle. I kind of just borrow my grandma's vehicle when I can, which isn't but it's not often that I'm able to use their car because they're usually using it. And Hunter works all day, so I have to wait until he gets off to be able to run errands for him to take me places. So yeah, I haven't been able to do Shipped or anything like that. So I'm signed up for Shipped, Instacart, and DoorDash. But since I moved, I have not been able to do that. So as soon as I actually do get a regular vehicle, I hope to pick that back up and have at least that form of, like, a steady income. It might not be a lot, but it's better than nothing. So currently, the only form of income that I have is my monthly checks from YouTube, which is only about 100 to 150-ish right now. And like I said, that's only once a month. So, and does my grandma help? She helps by letting me stay here. She added me onto her phone plan. Like, we went to AT&T and they got me a new phone and a new watch, which I have to pay the monthly thing on the watch. Like, they paid for the taxes on everything at the phone store, but I do have to come up with, like, my part of the phone bill every month. So she helped me get the phone and stuff, but from here on out, I have to pay for it. So yeah, mostly she's helping by letting me stay here, letting me use the car when I can. She got the phone and the watch for me. She kind of helps out the kids sometimes. Like, she watches them for me and Hunter to go out, or, like, she lets them hang out in the living room with her when I'm in my bedroom trying to get stuff done. So that's the gist of it. And that's all the questions. So, I hope this cleared up my life for you guys, because I know a lot of you were very confused. So I hope this cleared things up for you. I Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment below. Subscribe to the channel before you go if you have not already. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time.
All the more scars start to heal when I'm with you, and I can't explain how I feel when I'm with you. Just give a little bit of your heart, give a little bit of your heart to me.